The sun hung low over the endless blue, casting long shadows across the surface of Thalassa 9. There were no mountains, no forests, no cities, just ocean as far as the eye could see. It was a world untouched by time, or so humanity believed. Far, above in the cold silence of space, the survey vessel Endurance drifted in orbit. Inside, the small crew prepared for descent. Among them was Ethan Cole, a geophysicist with years of experience studying alien climates. Next to him stood Rebecca Lang, a xenobiologist who had spent her life searching for signs of life beyond Earth. They had been sent here not to conquer but to understand. They knew the stories. Old myths whispered that Thalassa 9 was cursed, that something beneath the waves watched and waited. Failed expeditions had vanished without a trace, leaving only static-filled transmissions and empty ships. But science had little room for fear, or so they thought. As their shuttle broke through the thick clouds and touched down on a floating research platform, the silence was almost unsettling. Waves rolled gently against the structure. The wind carried no voices, no birds, no sign of life at all, just water stretching in every direction. "This place gives me the creeps," said Jason, one of the engineers, as he stepped off the shuttle ramp. "It's just an ocean," Rebecca replied, though even she felt the weight of the emptiness. The team began their work, launching drones, scanning the waters, testing the air. Nothing seemed unusual at first, but then came the sonar readings. Massive shapes moved deep below, too large to be natural formations, too coordinated to be random. "Did you see that?" Ethan asked, pointing at the screen. Rebecca nodded, slowly. "We're not alone." Over the next few days, strange things happened. Equipment failed without reason. Storms rolled in from nowhere. Once, during a dive, Rebecca saw something watching her through the porthole of the sub. A flash of movement, gone before she could react. They told themselves it was their imagination. But deep down, they knew better. And when the message came, from Earth, bringing news of war breaking out between rival factions, the real trouble had only just begun. Ethan adjusted the controls of the submersible as it sank deeper into the blue. Beside him, Rebecca watched the sonar closely. The readings had become more erratic in recent hours, showing patterns that did not match any known marine life. "We're passing 300 meters, she said, her voice calm but tense. The lights cut through the darkness, revealing strange shapes on the ocean floor. At first they thought they were looking at rock formations, but as the sub moved closer, the truth became clear. These were structures. Towers, arches, and long pathways carved with precision. "This isn't natural," Ethan whispered. They drifted forward, careful not to disturb the silence. Then from the shadows, movement. A group of figures emerged, sleek and fluid in motion. Their skin shimmered with color, shifting like oil on water. Large eyes studied the submersible with intelligence. "Are they watching us?" Rebecca asked. Before Ethan could answer, pulses of light flickered across the beings' bodies. It was communication. "They're trying to talk," he said. Back at the surface station, the team worked quickly to decode the signals. What they found was shocking. The patterns matched complex linguistic structures. The creatures were not just intelligent. They were advanced. Days passed as contact continued. The humans named them the Aqualith. They lived in vast cities beneath the waves, built around deep thermal vents that provided warmth and energy. They had no written language, only living memory passed down through generations. But there was something else. One of the Aqualith, larger than the rest, swam close to the sub and tapped gently on the glass. Its colors shifted again, slower this time. More deliberate, Rebecca recorded every moment. "It's warning us," she said. The translation software struggled, but finally, a message formed on screen. "Do not go deeper." Ethan looked at Rebecca. "Why?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Both knew the real reason. They weren't the only ones interested in Thalassa 9 anymore. On board the Endurance, a new signal arrived from Earth. The war was escalating. Governments were claiming planets for resources. Thalassa 9 was now marked as a potential site for mining operations. As the message played, the ocean below remained still. But deep within the trenches, something stirred, something old, something that remembered when the Aqualith were not the only ones in the dark. A week after the first contact, the sky above Thalassa 9 changed. What once held only the Endurance now carried warships. 3 of them, dark and heavy with weapons. They arrived without warning, dropping into orbit like hammers from the sky on the surface station. Ethan stared up at the view screen as the message played. Command was being transferred. The scientific mission was over. In its place came something else. Military oversight, resource extraction, control. Captain Derek Marsh stepped off the lead dropship like a man who already owned the ocean. Behind him came soldiers, engineers, and mining drones. The peaceful study of the Aqualith was no longer the priority. "We're here to secure assets," Marsh said, looking at Ethan and Rebecca like they were obstacles, not make friends. The Aqualith surfaced near the platform, their colors shifting in uneasy patterns. They had seen humans change before. They knew what came next. Ethan tried to reason with Marsh. "They warned us not to go deeper. There's something down there," Marsh smirked. "Then we'll bring it to the surface and take what we need." Within hours, the first drilling rigs were deployed. Massive machines sank into the depths, cutting into the seabed where the Aqualith had built their oldest sanctuaries. The water turned dark with silt and anger. Rebecca watched as the Aqualith withdrew, fading into the deep with silent sorrow. She turned to Ethan. "This is a mistake." But the work continued. Sonar scans picked up strange movements far below. Not just life. Something older, something moving with purpose. Then came the tremors. Small at first, then stronger. Equipment failed. Lights flickered. One of the rigs vanished without a trace, leaving only broken cables and silence. Marsh refused to stop. He ordered more drones, more force. "If this planet wants to fight us, we'll win." As night fell, the ocean seemed to breathe. Waves rolled in slow and deep, like something beneath them was waking up. And far below, in the blackest trenches, eyes opened. The tremors became stronger. The surface station rocked with each deep pulse from below. Alarms blared, lights flickered. Then came the silence. The kind that felt like a breath held too long. Ethan ran to the sonar screen. The readings made no sense. Something massive was rising. Not just one thing. Many things. And fast. "Get everyone inside," he shouted. Rebecca grabbed the comms, trying to reach the drilling rigs. Only static answered back. Then the first scream came through the radio. Short, sharp, cut off midair. Outside, the ocean boiled. Waves crashed against the platform with unnatural force. A soldier fired into the water, panic in his eyes. Something moved beneath the surface. Long, dark, shapes twisting in the deep. A sudden shockwave hit. The platform shuddered. Metal groaned. Lights died. In the dark, Ethan saw it. A shape breaking through the water. Not a creature. Not just one. They were everywhere. They had names once. The Aqualith called them the Hunger. The Old Ones. The Buried Ones. But names did not matter now. What mattered was survival. "We have to get out of here," Rebecca yelled over the storm. Ethan grabbed her arm. "The sub. We have to warn the others." They ran through the shaking halls of the station, dodging falling debris. Soldiers tried to fight, firing blindly into the sea. It did nothing. Bullets vanished into the dark. They reached the dock. The small research sub still sat in place, half submerged. They climbed inside, sealing the hatch just as another explosion rocked the base. Through the viewport, they saw the last of the humans running, screaming, vanishing into the black. The sub powered up. Engines roared to life. "Where do we go?" Rebecca asked. Ethan looked at the sonar. The creatures were moving in every direction, hunting, feeding. "Away," he said. They dove deep, trying to escape the chaos above. But the ocean was no longer safe. It was alive with death. And then, through the comms, a voice, not human. Pulses of sound and light filled the cabin. The aqualith. One of them swam close, its colors flashing and warning. You woke them. You must leave. But there was nowhere left to go. Behind them, the surface station collapsed into the sea. The sub moved through the deep, its lights cutting through the darkness. Outside, the ocean was silent again, but Ethan and Rebecca knew better. They were not alone. Behind them, the surface station was gone. So were the soldiers, the engineers, the mining rigs. All swallowed by the sea. All erased by something humanity had no right to wake. The aqualith swam beside the sub, their colors dim, their movements slow. They had tried to warn the humans. Now only a few remained. You must leave this place, the lead aqualith signaled. Rebecca looked at the translation screen. We don't have anywhere else to go. Ethan steered the sub toward the last known location of the Endurance. The ship still hung in orbit, but as they neared it, they saw the truth. Its hull was torn open, lifeless. No survivors. The war on Earth had made monsters of men, and now the ocean had answered with monsters of its own. Back on the planet's surface, the storms calmed. The waters grew still. The hunger had fed, for now, but the aqualith knew the truth. The old ones did not sleep. They only waited. What do we do? Rebecca asked. Ethan looked at the stars beyond the broken ship. Back home, the war still raged. More ships would come. More people would try to take what was not theirs. We leave, he said. And we tell them this place is lost. But even as he spoke, he knew no one would listen. They launched the last escape pod from the Endurance. The aqualith watched, from below, fading into the dark. As the pod broke through the clouds and rose into space, Thalassa 9 shrank behind them, a blue world, peaceful from afar, beautiful, deadly. Rebecca looked down. Do you think it's over? Ethan didn't answer. He watched the ocean vanish beneath the curve of the planet. Somewhere down there, something stirred, waiting, listening, ready. Because war was not just happening on land. It had come to the sea, and the sea had learned to fight back.